Hello, my name is Michelle Carrillo, and this video will walk you through how influence affects our workplaces, the various ways that power affects that influence, and how our emotional intelligence can play a pivotal role in us establishing ourselves as top leaders in our organizations. Being influential has its benefits. People not only seek out your opinion and listen to you, your words also have power. Those around you will believe what you say has weight and they'll want your input. You don't have to be a member of the top leadership level at your organization to carry that weight and to have influence on those around you. To be effective in organizations today, you must be able to influence the people around you. Your title alone isn't always enough to sway others, nor do you always have that formal position that you may be seeking. So what is the best way to position yourself as an informal leader in your organization? How can you motivate your colleagues to support your initiatives and adopt your ideas? And how can you become that go-to person for the people who you work with, for others to look for guidance and expert advice? Having influence in the workplace has clear value. Dorie Clark, author of Entrepreneurial You, says that you get more done and you advance the projects you care about and are responsible for, which means you're more likely to be noticed, get promoted, and receive raises. But gaining influence in the modern workplace is very difficult. Today's age of empowerment makes it more difficult than ever to be able to establish that influence on those around you. However, it all comes down to your approach. Today's highly collaborative organizations have made an influence and the desire to be influential an essential skill to possess. Not only do you want to be able to influence your direct reports, if you have any, but there's also a level of desire to influence those who you have no direct authority over. This is where our influencing styles take over. By analyzing the different influence tactics present in today's world that we see, researchers have identified 9 primary influencing tactics. Based upon this research, Chris Musselwhite and Tammy Plouffe have come up with 5 influencing styles: rationalizing, asserting, negotiating, inspiring, and bridging. For reference, Chris Musselwhite is the president and CEO of Discovery Learning Incorporated, and Tammy Plouffe is a managing partner of Innovative Pathways. To best identify which style is yours, you will want to do a self-scoring assessment. However, even without that official indicator of what your style may be, there are some questions you can ask yourself to begin understanding that and having that conversation with yourself. The first is in terms of rationalizing. Are you the type of person who uses logic, facts, and reasoning to present your ideas? Do you leverage those facts, logic, expertise, and experience to persuade others? The next is asserting. Do you rely on your personal confidence, rules, law, and authority to influence others? Do you insist that your ideas are heard and considered, even when others may disagree? Do you challenge the ideas of others when they don't agree with yours? Do you debate with or pressure others to get them to see your point of view? Negotiating is also one of the 5 competencies. In this one, do you look for compromises and make concessions in order to reach an outcome that satisfies your greater interests? Do you make trade-offs and exchanges in order to meet your larger interests? And if necessary, will you delay the discussion until a more opportune time? Next is inspiring. Do you encourage others towards your position by communicating a sense of a shared mission and exciting possibilities? Do you use inspirational appeals, stories, and metaphors to encourage a shared sense of purpose? If so, you might be an inspirational leader. And finally, we have bridging. Do you attempt to influence outcomes by utilizing your ability to connect with or unite people? Do you rely on reciprocity, engaging superior support, building coalitions, consultation, and using personal relationships to get people to agree with your position? Once you have established what your influencing style is, then we can consider how emotional intelligence plays a pivotal role. According to the Oxford Dictionary, emotional intelligence is the capacity to be aware of, control, and express one's emotions and to handle interpersonal relationships judiciously and empathetically. Daniel Goleman and Richard Boyatzis tell us that there are many models of emotional intelligence, each with its own set of abilities. They are defined as comprising of 4 domains: self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, and relationship management. Within each domain, there are 12 emotional intelligence competencies. They can be learned or are learnable capabilities that allow outstanding performance at work as a leader. In order to excel, leaders do need to develop a balance of those strengths across all of the emotional intelligence competencies. Once we know where we are on the spectrum, we can focus on power and how it affects our influence in the workplace. Power is an interesting word because it can mean many different things to various groups of people. Power can sometimes be thought of or seen as corrupt, and however, others may consider that the more power they have, the more successful they are. The 5 bases of power were identified by John French and Bertram Raven in the early 1960s through a study that was conducted on power in leadership roles. The study showed how different types of power affected one's leadership ability and success in a leadership role. They are divided into 2 categories, formal and personal. Formal power can be coercive. Coercive power is conveyed through fear of losing one's job, being demoted, receiving poor performance reviews, having prime projects taken away, and many other things. The next type of formal power is reward power. Reward power is conveyed through rewarding individuals for compliance with one's wishes. This may be done through giving bonuses, raises, a promotion, extra time off of work, and many things like it. For example, this is a supervisor who provides employees comp time when they meet an objective that she has set for a project. The next type of formal power is legitimate. Legitimate power comes from having a position of power in an organization, such as being a boss or a key member in the leadership team. And this power comes from the employees in the organization recognizing the authority of that individual. Next, we move into personal power. Personal power has both expert power and referent power. Expert power comes from one's experiences, skills, or knowledge. As we gain experience in particular areas in our organization or in our careers, we become thought leaders in those areas, and we begin to gather expert power that can be utilized and leveraged to get others on board and help us meet our goals. For example, this would be a project manager who is an expert at solving very challenging problems and can ensure that a project stays on track. Thus, his power is leveraged and that knowledge he has can be used to move the organization forward, but also convince people to follow him. Referent power then comes from being trusted and respected. We gain referent power when others around us trust what we do and respect who we are and how we handle situations. For example, a human resource associate who knows that their employees are going to be treated fairly and come to the rescue for those who are not is somebody who would have referent power. They know when to act, they know how to act, and they do it justly. So what is your source of power? Are you using the right kind of power? I hope this discussion has given you ideas and pointed out areas in which you may be able to grow or foster your own power and influence. We don't want to be the type of leaders that just simply throw our weight around and use our title as leverage for getting things done. You want to be able to effectively use your voice and your type of leadership, power, and emotional intelligence as a source of power to meet your key goals and objectives. By building your expertise and relationships and using your growing power wisely and fairly, our words and actions will have greater impact in our workplaces. As influence grows, so must our humility. We must be ready to show our weaknesses and vulnerabilities and ensure that those around us know that we are not complete leaders. The more people that gravitate around us and take our word for what it is, the more that a culture is created where people can trust one another and trust you as a leader.